Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. I am Rob, your host. Carter here, as always. Co-host Carter, how you doing, buddy?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We had dinner. It's 8 o'clock in the evening. You and I are getting together remotely and going to record a podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Heck yeah, man. I like the subject matter today a lot.
Well, I mean, when you see the first word of the title, it's steak. So, I mean, you know you're off to a good start.
Yeah. I mean, I am a steak. I am a carnivore for sure. And steak is one of my favorite things.
You know, I enjoy a good steak, and I might surprise you to tell you that steak wouldn't be my first choice of a favorite, food. Seafood would be my first choice.
Are you serious?
Does that shock you a little bit?
Are you actually being serious?
I am being serious. I would take seafood all day long over steak, but I love steak.
Oh, okay. So I like a good combination of getting a steak along with a crab cake.
Okay, a little surf and turf option.
That really sings for me right there.
Well, we're talking steak and steak sides specifically today. And we think, obviously a good steak is always a fantastic meal. But, the sides that you pair it with can just, really elevate that meal. Some are good, some are great, and some are out of this world.
I agree completely. And I think, when we talk steak, we should probably set the ground rules on steak. What is a steak? To me, a marinated skirt steak or a carne asada is not a steak.
No, that's a form of red meat, but we're talking, think that traditional steakhouse. You think that New York strip, the ribeye, the sirloin could be in there, the filet.
Okay.
Yeah, those are what I consider a steak, prime rib could possibly be in there.
Yeah, I think prime rib. Does beef Wellington count? I mean, it is a steak, right?
Well, I don't really call that a steak. I mean, because that's a a filet hot pocket.
Yeah, I can say it's good.
It's damn good. I mean, it's got its place, but to me, the steak is on its own. You're not putting anything else on it. No A1, no prosciutto or mushrooms. Ducks. I can never say that, Matt. Ducks. How do you say that?
Duxelle.
There you go. Ducks. Yeah. None of that around it. Just a clean old, nice, charred, crusty steak, cooked medium rare. Don't screw it up. Don't go past medium rare.
In general, I'd say yes. My wife, for example, likes a medium steak, so I just cook medium rare, and she just complains about it.
There you go. You do it the right way. I like how you take care of your wife's steak.
Yeah. Well, usually what I do is I just give her the smaller one, and then I just cook them the same, and she gets a little bit more done.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
all right.
Anyway.
I mean, there's when you think about sides, let's start with this. Salad doesn't count. Salad to me is a starter before I have my steak dinner with my sides. So I think we can mention and talk a little bit about salad. And to me, with the steak dinner, there's really three choices in salad, one being the right one, the other two are acceptable.
I think I know what you're going to say here. And if you're referring to the king of all salads, the one, the only wedge salad, then we are on the same wavelength here.
We are in agreement. The wedge salad is the king of starter salads when having a steak dinner. Now, there's other salads, that might be more appropriate to a different type of dish. But when it comes to steak, starting that meal off with a wedge salad, I mean, we're starting with bacon, with some, maybe roasted tomatoes, that chunky blue cheese. I mean,
oh yeah,
it just doesn't get much better than that. The meal's in the right direction when you start with a wedge salad.
It's the most unhealthy of salads, but
yeah.
You know what? I don't care. I mean, it's just freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm with you. To me, I like chunky bacon on there. You know, some people might like a dusting of crumbles or something. I give me something that I can chew on.
Yeah, I don't want to be, teased, so to speak. I want to know when I'm chewing on a piece of bacon. Yeah, absolutely.
And I know blue cheese is a polarizing subject, but to me, a wedge salad just you can't have that without blue cheese and blue cheese dressing.
I don't think there's another option that would be acceptable. If a steakhouse would serve that salad with another dressing, they're probably not a steakhouse.
Yeah, I agree. You're not going to put a vinaigrette over the top of that.
Unless your name is Sandra.
I can't believe I couldn't do that. There's no way. There's no way I could put like a vinaigrette over a wedge.
She wouldn't either. She just wouldn't order that wedge. That's
Okay.
My wife with her faults. I still married her though. I love her.
Hey, my wife doesn't like a whole bunch of stuff.
Mushrooms included.
Oh, I talk about so good with steaks. But anyway, but I am a cracked pepper guy, though.
Oh, you got to have the cracked pepper. Absolutely. And I would say the other two salads I think are acceptable and served, somewhat typically at a steakhouse is your classic Caesar salad and then your, just your simple dinner salad. I think those are kind of the three staples of a salad you would have before, tackling that steak dinner.
Yeah, a Caesar salad hits the spot it sometimes for me. So I will occasionally order a Caesar salad. The crouton game has to be on point, though, when it comes to a Caesar salad. If the croutons suck, then the salad's just trash to me.
Now, I'm a huge fan, like I said, of the wedge salad. But when I'm at a place that will make the Caesar tableside with making the dressing tableside,
that's kind of cool.
Then I'm all about that. I will skip the wedge cool. And I'll go right to that.
That's nice. What's also nice on the Caesar salad? I'm just going to throw it out there. Instead of, Parmesan cheese being like grated, I like the kind of the shaved with like the thicker type of a cut to it.
Yep.
That really hits home for me.
I agree. I like that as well. So go ahead.
So I got a question. I do have a question for you. Maybe this is, to me, I know it well. I obviously know what my answer is, but if you get the option of going soup or salad before steak dinner, what do you choose?
Depends on the soup options and time of year, usually.
Okay. I will almost exclusively go salad on that, just because I know that I'm going to have a heavy meal ahead of me.
Yeah, that's a factor for sure. But there are on occasion where there's a soup at a particular restaurant that they're just famous for, that they knock it out of the park. Or it could be time of year where it's just really cold and I just want a cup, not a bowl. Just something to kind of warm me up, make me feel good before I tackle that steak.
Okay. I can get, like, I'll go out and say it. I'm a self-proclaimed French onion soup slut. So if that French onion soup is on the menu, I will.
Bingo.
It is a tough decision to not order that soup.
Yep, you nailed it. That would be the one that when I know they make it and make it well, that would be something that could trump the wedge salad. Just, mood would drive that, just whatever. But like you, typically I go salad. I like it. I mean, a wedge salad is just hard to beat, so I like starting with the wedge salad.
We need to get off this train of calling iceberg lettuce like the trash lettuce. I mean, it has its place, and particularly in that salad, man.
Yeah, it
is perfect.
It works well in that salad. I mean, I will tell you that's probably the only salad I want, iceberg lettuce. Other than that, it goes on a sandwich or on a burger. But other than, that's the only salad I would put it on, if I'm being honest.
I think you've just got so many dense ingredients in there that it's nice to have that pop of freshness and that crispness.
Yeah, nice and crisp, and absolutely. Well, we better get into this. People are wondering why we're not already talking about these sides that we mentioned.
I'm already starting to get hungry here.
Yeah.
I've moved on from the salad course to getting into the real deal.
And we know the 1-star side that is just mentioned every single time you say steak, it's followed by
potato.
You know, that's hey, what's for dinner? Steak and potatoes. You know, nobody ever cares about the vegetable. It's just steak and potatoes. So potato is a tried and true favorite. But the thing about the potato is, and I think you and I are going to get into this, as one of the sides, it's a versatile vegetable. So many things you can do with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it's the reason so many people have I guess so many cultures have made that a staple of their cuisine. You know, it's just that there's so much you can do with it, right?
Absolutely. So we've got potatoes and variations of it. We've got that side of the column, if you will, that's kind of that starch column. So there might be some other starches that we have in there, but potato's going to be dominant in that side. And then we're going to go to the other column, and that's going to kind of be our veggies, where you're going to see the different types of vegetable options that we would have on our list of outstanding sides with the steak. So I would say let's run through all the potato and starch type things and let's have that conversation. So we finish up on the healthy side. We feel a little better finishing the conversation talking about vegetables.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna. Well, wait. I was gonna say, wait till you finish all your potatoes, and then if you have room, you eat your vegetables. But I have one on the vegetable side that I would almost pass up potatoes for.
Really?
So we'll get to that.
But, all right. Well, let's play the ping pong. Right? We'll go back and forth. I'll let you start. And let's just start talking about, throw out a dish. Let's talk about it real quick, and we'll move to the next one. This is, Matt, I don't know what you have on your list, but I've got a long list. So I think, it's almost going to be somewhat rapid fire. Now, if we hit one that we just really want to dive into, then we will. But, yeah.
Okay, so when I think of, and, I'm not necessarily thinking of a steakhouse. I'm thinking of also cooking at home. And I think that there's one particular thing that I used to see a lot when I was when I was a kid. I
want to interrupt you here just so I have some understanding of how we're doing this. Are you going from fantastic and finishing with the simple, or are we going to start simple and build up to the fantastic?
I'm going simple and building up.
Good.
Okay. So the standard loaded baked potato. I used to see it as a kid all the time on the menu. Hey, loaded baked potatoes. Dude, it's a solid thing, man. It really is. I mean, yeah, is it going to ever wow you? I don't know. Maybe. But man, buttered potato, sour cream,
cheese, chives,
bacon, all that kind of stuff. Dude, that's a nice bite right there.
Well, it's like a second meal.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention that just because it is something that I don't think I know myself, I don't cook enough of it.
Well, here's what I want to say about that particular dish, and I agree with you. It's a classic. It's probably what's thought of, I would say one of the more typical sides that people think of with the steak. But I would say there's something we need to at least discuss. If you're at a restaurant, you order a baked potato. If you're cooking at home, you do that thing twice.
Oh yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to do that, right?
Yeah.
Or you're just not. You're doing it a disservice.
That's exactly right. The twice baked potato is a pretty solid side.
I tell you, what's also really good. Just a kind of variation of a theme. I don't know if it's necessarily a steakhouse side, but dude, if you take the potato skins and then you make a loaded baked potato concoction into that boat. Man.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to follow kind of, your lead on staying with the classics. And I'm going to go with, and again, this can be done different ways. We can talk about it, but the classic quality homemade mashed potato.
Oh, it's a solid, it's a classic. My wife would say that is her probably, I think she would say this, that is her favorite side.
Yeah, I mean it's just solid. It's just good. I mean it's not going to wow you. I mean you can get a little wow factor going on depending on how you want to dress it up with, putting in a little sour cream or some cream cheese with some Asiago cheese or maybe some good Parmesan or something like that and dress it up a little bit. But just on its own with some good quality butter in there, some salt and pepper, a little cream to get that whipped pretty good. I mean it's a solid side dish with a steak.
Okay, so quick question for you, and this is a very divisive topic in my household, so I want to, just throw it past you. My wife likes super smooth mashed potatoes, super smooth, and I like more of a little bit of a rustic style. I want them mashed, but like if I've got a couple of little pockets of chunks, I don't mind that so much. I actually kind of like the texture component. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so are you telling me you're fine with either style, but you prefer that one?
Yes.
I mean, I'm fine with either style, and I don't know that I have a preference. I mean, the smooth doesn't bother me, but, I'm with you. I mean, I kind of had to think about that. I go, man, sometimes those little chunks are kind of nice.
Yeah, man, I really like that. And honestly, like my standard mashed potatoes, I don't know if this is standard or not, but I like garlic in my mashed potatoes.
Oh, hell yeah.
And a little roasted garlic in the mashed potato. Oh, man, come on.
Now we're dressing them up. You can put a little chives mixed in there with them. Yeah.
I did have, at a fancy steakhouse, some lobster mashed potatoes. And what they did was...
That's weird. That doesn't even sound good.
Dude, it's really good, actually. So what they did that was kind of cool was they took like some of that I guess they made a lobster broth and kind of like put a little bit over the top of the potatoes and a few little pieces of lobster. It actually, it doesn't sound like it works, but it worked in this particular instance. So anyway, that's just hearing it didn't strike me as, ooh, that sounds good. It struck me more as, that's a little weird. Potatoes with lobster. Just not a combination. But you know what? I never thought beans and shrimp would go together, but they're pretty good. Hey, man, people do lobster mac and cheese all the time.
Well, that's where I thought you were going.
Well, and I'm good with that too. But like, if you think about it, like, I mean, potatoes are pretty dense. Mac and cheese is pretty, pretty heavy. So I mean, it kind of works.
What's your next one up? So we've got baked potato, mashed potato, and you might as well say it since we just said it.
Oh yeah, well, we're still talking about potatoes, right?
Well, that side of the ledger, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go with the very, very classic, and I think done well, they are so amazing. Steak fries.
Yep.
So crispy on the outside, pillowy on the inside. When they're done well, dude, so good.
Now, would we put in that category, French fries too? Would we just kind of lump them together because they're different styles of fries, but I think fries in general, I prefer the steak fry, but I know some places do the French fry, and both I think are fine with the steak.
Yeah, actually, I'll see this like there's a couple of restaurants I've gone to that have like the skinny fries and they'll kind of put it in a basket, but they've got like, Parmesan cheese on top of them and stuff like that. And I mean, it's not bad. I just like the steak fry better.
I got you. And I don't disagree with that. I prefer the steak fry as well. I just thought we'd cover both those in the one category.
Yeah. Works for me.
I'm going to follow that up with just your classic pan-fried potatoes, which I think are very good. That's again, the versatility of the potato and the different variations of potato. I mean, you've got the russet, you got the gold, you got the small little, I don't even know what they call those fingerling potatoes. You got the little round colored potatoes. You got red potatoes. I mean, there's all kinds of potatoes that you can come up with fun things with. But pan-fried potatoes go with a lot of dishes, but they absolutely pair just fine with a nice steak.
Yeah, and I've done them kind of pan fried, roasted in the oven a little bit. Like with oil and some bacon or something like that, and rosemary, and I mean they can be really really good.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so next, I think on my list, and I'm just going to have to go ahead and go here. This happens to be one of my all-time favorites, is the au gratin potato.
Yeah, it's a solid call. It's a solid potato.
I mean, man, you're talking like sliced potatoes and a cream sauce with bubbly roasted cheese on top of it. I mean, dude, come on.
Oh, I agree. That is a very good dish, and I would say it's an underrated dish that's probably not made at home. A lot of restaurants don't offer it because, there's a lot to putting that together and being able to serve it to the masses. But at home, if you're doing a dinner, that needs to be in consideration for the starch. I think it's a solid pick.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. What is the difference? I was going to go with, I think the difference is, tell me if I'm wrong, if you do scallop potatoes, you just don't have the cheese. Is that the difference?
That is a good question. I don't really know what the definition is between the two. Like scallop potatoes, I think they're similar, right?
They're similar. I know they are, and I just want to make sure I'm getting, because that was on my list, and that's what I was going to fire with next. Let me look it up. Hold on.
All right.
But I'm pretty sure there's just a very small difference, and I thought it was the cheese. Au gratin potatoes include grated cheese. Scalloped potatoes do not. Both use milk and the heavy cream, equal amounts of butter, make a roux. All that is the same. But, the cheese is where we, hey, it's au gratin. It sounds a little fancier. Sounds like you would have some cheese.
Yeah. But, I think they both have their place. So, that's...
and if you're on a health kind of kick, you don't want that cheese, just put all that heavy cream and butter in there and skip the cheese.
Yeah, I'm sure
you'll feel better.
It's way less calories, I'm sure.
Yeah, you won't feel guilty at all.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I bet you're going to mention this.
You can fire. Go ahead. If it's on your list, fire away.
The fingerling smashed potato.
Okay, I didn't have it as a fingerling, but I do have the smashed potatoes. And this is where you soften the potatoes and then you mash them and fry them crispy on both sides. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Those are fantastic.
And if you're ever, just a pro tip here, if you're ever cooking duck breast, save your rendered fat and cook those potatoes in that.
That's a pro tip right there.
Yeah, pro tip from Carter right here. Just letting. Yeah, this is not just the tip. This is a pro tip.
I'm gonna follow that one up with. I said pan fried potatoes earlier. Now I'm gonna follow it up with the French version, which is the potatoes lyonnaise. With the difference we're adding in the caramelized onions, which is never a disappointment to anything. Caramelized onions, especially potatoes.
No. Yeah, it goes so well together. And you know what? You can actually do that. I've done that. Adding some caramelized onions to even my breakfast potatoes tastes great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. What do you got? You got more potatoes, or are you out of potatoes?
I think that's my highlights on the potato.
Okay,
I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but that's kind of my heavy hitters.
Those are mine too, but I do have some other starches that I have in this category. Do you have some other ones as options?
Yeah, sure.
Fire one away.
Okay, so I think I'd be remiss to not mention rice, and I think. Rice is not necessarily considered a steakhouse thing, but man, a little dirty rice or something like that. That's not a bad side. Just throwing it out there.
Not where I thought you were going when you started with the rice, but okay, I like it. Okay, dirty rice that would work, especially down here in Cajun country.
Yeah, exactly. So I I don't know. It's kind of the one that I really enjoy.
Well,
so.
I'm going to piggyback off that since you started in the rice category and throw another one out there, which is the risotto.
Oh,
I think you can do it a multitude of ways, depending on what ingredients you like, what kind of cheeses you like, how creamy you want it. And risotto is one of my favorite side dishes, and I think it needs to be mentioned as an option with steak. Absolutely.
yeah, risotto's great. I mean, this isn't steak, but with the short rib, it's just.
Well, yeah, it lives right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just good in general, right? I love that.
Absolutely. What do you got next? You got another one to fire at?
I don't have much on the starch side other than potatoes.
You want me to fire a couple at you?
Yeah. Let me hear it.
Mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah, that one. I didn't even think of it. I have it on my list as a starch or as a side. I didn't think of it as a starch, but it's definitely a starch.
It's definitely starchy.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with and the mac and cheese with the steak is a creamy mac and cheese, not a baked mac and cheese. We want this ooey gooey, creamy, wet cheese all over your face.
That's what she said.
Just yes, that's exactly what you want. Yes. Yeah. I think like when you're thinking mac and cheese, you know what I like though when you're making mac and cheese, it's making it at home. You don't have to necessarily use macaroni.
Oh, I totally agree.
And if you use those little not the little shells.
Yeah, like seashells.
Yeah, like that just hold in that cheese. But yeah, man, those shells are so good, man. Those are great for just holding just cheese pockets.
Yeah, and any kind of spiral pasta would be good too for macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Especially the longer ones, that are about an inch long, so that you really get that cheese just coated all around it.
Oh man. Oh.
Now, if I'm triggering any other starchy sides that are coming to mind, feel free to jump in and fire one because I got a couple more.
No, I think mac and cheese is so versatile too. I mean, you can do it in a bunch of different ways,
I'm going to throw out polenta. I love a good polenta. And you can do a polenta in a creamy style. You could also do polenta where you fry it, and kind of have it as a cake on the side, which is still very good. And the last one on my list for a starch is I do on occasion like a nice crispy gnocchi. A potato gnocchi.
Is nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. I don't think of it as a traditional steakhouse side, but like I could totally get down with that.
Yeah, absolutely. On occasion, we don't do that one a lot, but I've done it a few times, and the few times I have, it's been a hit. It's pretty good. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump over to the skinny side, and some of these will be skinnier than other ones, but here we go with the veggies.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm going to let you lead off again.
Well, we're gonna go basic and build up.
Okay.
And for me,
and here's what I want to say on this side, because you can get a little more creative here sometimes. You can, if you have a basic that is a basic, and then you can dress it up. Feel free to give both variations of that vegetable.
Okay, so one thing that oh man, I missed something on the starch side. I'm sorry.
Here we go, Carter.
Okay, I'm backing up. Okay, so probably not your thing, but I've had it at a few steak restaurants and I just freaking love it. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a vegetable too. Onion rings.
Oh, it's down here on my bottom. That's the last one I was going to mention.
Oh man, I didn't know if that was a starch or.
Well, and that's kind of how I had it on both. So I put it at the very bottom. Said I'll mention it at the end if it doesn't get mentioned. But nice call. I put onion rings / the strings are good too. Just a little fried onion strings on top of your steak can be also good. But yeah, good call.
So as far as the vegetables go, I mean, I think when you think traditional steakhouse sides, you think asparagus. I think that
that's not where I thought you were going.
Yeah, that is to me like it's not my favorite. I'll be honest. Asparagus is kind of like, I'll eat it. I'm not. It's okay, generally speaking.
Okay.
If you doctor it up a little bit, put some Parmesan cheese on there. If you're, I've even had some. One of our favorite restaurants. They do fried asparagus with some crab meat on top of it.
Oh, wow.
That is pretty decadent. So that is good. But I would say that when I think of a steakhouse side, I definitely think asparagus.
Okay, I'm going to throw, since we had the vegetable asparagus, I'm going to piggyback and just add to yours. This isn't my answer, but since we were talking about asparagus, we like to do it. I wrote it down with the prosciutto wrapped asparagus. Is kind of that elevated.
Makes it better. Yeah, it definitely makes it better.
Yeah.
I just think asparagus is, you know, okay. My next vegetable.
Well, I get to give mine.
Yes. So. I was going to say my next vegetable that's more basic, I like better.
Oh, really? And you started with this. That's okay. Let's see if I nail which is more basic and that you like better, because that's how I thought you were going. Let's see if I hit it. The green beans.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay, because green beans can be somewhat simple, salt, pepper, not a whole lot more than that, but I don't do them that way. I like my green beans with the bacon and the garlic and maybe some shaved almonds in there. I mean, maybe some tomatoes sometimes. We'll just put in some like little diced tomatoes in there with it, which is a hitter. You can put onions in there and just get them sauteed and grilled with your green beans.
Yep.
Green beans, me being from the Midwest, is just a staple in the steakhouses in the Midwest, for sure.
Okay. So maybe it's just because maybe I'm a little bit younger. I started seeing like the elevated sides more, which included the asparagus. I'll tell you that I like green beans a lot, and they are very versatile, like you mentioned. And I actually like to pan saute mine, and put a little. I like prosciutto in them, like a little chunked prosciutto in there.
Okay, all right.
And then at the end, I cut up some tomatoes, throw them in there, and just kind of saute it with it.
And you're doing, what's the meat again you're doing in there? Prosciutto?
Prosciutto, yeah.
Okay. I would
pancetta works too.
That's what I was going to say, the pancetta, because then you render that fat in there that gets a little more fat that gets all over those green beans. That's the reason I do the bacon in mine, because that bacon fat just kind of renders and you cook everything in there, and can be really good.
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely. But green beans are so freaking good.
So good. And they're simple, but sometimes simple is just the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. And that's just one of those things. I mean, like, it's interesting how many times that I've made steak dinners and the vegetable I made was green beans. And how many people have said, boy, I really liked your green beans. Like,
yeah.
And that's the thing. You're just kind of like, okay, I threw it in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm a big green bean fan.
What's your next one?
I think that this one is, I don't see it quite as often anymore, but I actually really, it's the only way I tolerate this vegetable. And that's some broccoli and cheese.
The broccoli casserole.
Yep, that's the only way I tolerate that vegetable. I do not particularly like broccoli, and it doesn't particularly like me. We won't go into any details. But,
I don't. One thing we didn't mention about this asparagus is be prepared for the stinky pea.
Yeah, I mean, those who know.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right on the broccoli. I like broccoli. I'm fine with broccoli, and I prefer it actually roasted with some Parmesan on top. But I agree with you. When you get the broccoli casserole, when they make it well, where they have that breadcrumb top on top.
Oh, yeah. That's
and you
nice.
Just kind of go down through that and get your creamy cheese with the broccoli. Hell, yeah. That's good stuff.
It's au gratin broccoli.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
So anyway, that one I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a steamed broccoli, a roasted broccoli. I like the broccoli casserole. Is there another variation of broccoli that we're not thinking of, initially that you can think of?
I think that's the main one.
I think you roast it, you steam it, and I would throw all forms of broccoli in here. The broccolini and all the different, variations of the Chinese broccolis and things like that. Broccoli, all being covered right there.
Yep. No doubt.
Here's my next one. And, people either love them or they seem to hate these.
I think I know what you're going to say.
They are the one and only small baby cabbages, the Brussels sprouts.
Oh, that's exactly what I thought you were going to say. Yes. Yeah. So I love them.
Now, I love Brussels sprouts, but I like them dressed up. I'm not, don't just cook them for me and give them to me. I like to cook mine. I boil them to get them soft. I take them out, I dry them, and then I pan fry them to get them nice and crispy in some bacon fat, usually pancetta. And then we pull them out of there when they got a nice crust on them, and we toss them with some balsamic vinegar, and it's usually a fig balsamic, and you toss those and coat them really good. And with that pancetta and the balsamic and a toasted Brussels sprout, I mean, it's just absolutely delicious.
Yeah. So a way I prepare them that I think is, I don't know why I started doing this, but I started doing more of a shaved Brussels sprout. So I'll take the heads and I'll just like start cutting them, not thin, but like fairly thin, in like a cross section type thing, and then I'll just throw them in a bag, put some oil in there, maybe a little pancetta and salt and pepper. Toss them around, throw them on a baking pan, and they just kind of, you just let them go, and they start getting crispy and that kind of thing. And so, you've got a little crispy mixed in with your, soft and everything. And
hell yeah,
it tastes really good. So it's almost like like a slaw or something, but cooked, obviously.
Hell yeah, that sounds really good, actually.
Yes. And then if you want to throw some Parmesan cheese on top of it, great. I mean, go for it. The world is your oyster.
There you go. All right. What do you got next?
I'm gonna start diving into. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get my favorite.
Okay.
It's I do. Okay. So this is it, man. So when I see cream spinach on a steakhouse menu. First of all, it better be freaking good because I know I can make a damn good one at the house. But if that is good, it is just ridiculous. I absolutely love that side.
Yep, it's on my list. So yeah, I had it there. It's a solid pick. Really good. I mean, it's cream spinach. There's not any other way to do it. So it is what it is. Cream spinach.
Yeah, you make your roux and you cook it in a casserole. At least that's kind of how I do it, like with just in a casserole dish type thing.
So when people hear this, they know that it's not just you're putting cream in. When we say make a roux, that's because you're basically making a gravy.
You're making a gravy, yes. And my gravy happens to include a little bit of cheese in there. So,
there you go.
And garlic. So you're mixing all of this with the spinach. You bake it. I mean, it's just ooey gooey coming out of the dish, and to me, it's just a superstar.
Absolutely, I'm going back for my next one to my Midwest roots. And when you think steak and you think green beans, the next vegetable, Carter, you would think would be?
Gosh, I don't know. Carrots?
No, corn.
Oh, corn. Okay.
I thought with the Midwest, I was teasing you enough you'd know anyway. Corn, I think you could do it, just a roasted corn, the kernels in a dish. I like getting them kind of nice and browned and toasted, and you can season them with some different things. But also a creamed corn is very, very good. And there's sometimes I'm in the mood for a big old corn on the cob and lather that thing up with some butter and give me the two little ear things on the end, just poke in there and let me go to town on that thing. So corn, also a very versatile vegetable that I think you can do a multitude of ways. And I know it's in and out kind of vegetable. There's not a lot of nutritional value, but still pretty good.
Hey, it's a Native American grain.
There you go. It's in the American beverage for sure.
I say green. It's a vegetable, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna throw one out here, and I don't know if you think of it as a side. I see it as a side in steakhouses, but I like it occasionally. I don't. It wouldn't be first choice, but if it's on the table, I like to eat some of it. Is mushrooms.
Okay, it's absolutely on my list. And I think when you do mushrooms with steak, it's got to be a wine reduction, a red wine reduced
Yes.
mushrooms. And I don't want the cut sliced mushrooms. I want those whole mushrooms. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I like too. So we're on the same wavelength here.
Now, I can eat them as long as they're sauteed well in butter and things like that. Be fine, but I just prefer them in that red wine because red wine with the steak, I mean, come on. It's what you're drinking.
Right, exactly. Well, here's the thing, right? When I think of sliced mushrooms on a steak, like in whatever way you want to prepare them, I think that's a steak topper.
Yeah.
But the whole mushrooms are a side.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So
I'm going to go back into the green category where you were with the spinach I don't know if it's a family member, but I think people might think of it in that category. And they're done really well in the South. And that would be the famed collard greens.
oh my gosh.
And
Dude, I don't even think of it as a steakhouse side, but God, it's so good. It's one of my favorites.
You've not had that as a side with steak?
I really haven't. I guess I should.
Oh, man, so good. And the places that I know that do it well make it the day before, and it just kind of soaks up that flavor. And the next day you serve it up. I mean, especially if you're doing it at home, always make it a day ahead because, anything that rests in the fridge overnight just gets infused with all this flavor, and it's absolutely better the next day.
Oh man, I'm telling you, dude, that's a really good. That is a really good option. Damn, I wish I would have thought of that.
Fire away on your next one.
I'm trying to think of anything that I'm missing here.
Well, you mentioned it thinking it was going to be me, and I didn't say it. Remember
what was that?
Carrots.
Oh, carrots. Yeah.
You don't sound too excited.
To me, roasted carrots are kind of like, I mean, it's fine.
They're fine, and I see them sometimes. Can I tell you what I honestly think roasted carrots go with?
What's that?
Chicken.
Yeah, me too.
For whatever reason, I just think the carrots belong with the chicken.
I'd rather have, when I think roasted carrots, I do think of more like a coq au vin or something like that.
Okay.
A good side to go with that.
Okay, yeah. So go ahead. You got another one?
Not really. I think we've hit like all my highlight ones.
I've got two more for you. You ready?
Okay, go for it.
Done well, I sometimes will go for the roasted cauliflower.
Okay, so I was kind of thinking of that in the same broccoli vein. I probably should have mentioned it there because they're kind of kissing cousins.
They are.
But roasted cauliflower is really good. I actually had a great roasted cauliflower. I kind of want to do it this way. They take like this is a restaurant in New Orleans, and they took like a half head of cauliflower, roasted it. It's charred. It's all that kind of stuff. And they prepared like a little whipped goat cheese dip to put that cauliflower in there. Dude.
Ooh.
Magic, dude.
That sounds pretty good.
I could have just eaten that as my entree. It's unbelievable. So, yeah.
Okay, I got one more for you.
Okay.
And this is my son's favorite side with steak. He always requests it. And this is the roasted veggie medley. So we're going to have the green and red bell peppers. You're going to have some onions. You're going to have some mushrooms, some zucchini, some squash. And you're going to toss it in a bowl with some olive oil, and you're going to roast it on a sheet pan. And when they come out, it's just this roasted vegetable medley. He loves that.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I don't know that I'd ever choose it, but if it were prepared for me, I'd eat it up. I wouldn't care.
Yeah, we do it because, I guess I love my son. I love my son.
Yeah, I guess. guess. I guess I do. I'd say, I'm trying to think of other vegetables I might be missing. Oh, I'll give you a little honorable mention that I've done it before. It's kind of like doing those pan-fried potatoes, but instead using cubed butternut squash.
Ooh, okay.
And so you do like almost like a pan-fried with bacon and that kind of thing. And it gives you a little bit. I mean, it's starchy, but it's still a vegetable. So I would say, that's something that I've done before. It kind of good, really good in the fall. I mean, people kind of associate those flavors with, fall and winter time and stuff.
Well, how do you feel about taking your mashed potatoes, making them the day ahead, and then making your potato pancake?
I have great feelings on that. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Oh, okay. I didn't know which way you were going there.
I'm totally good with that.
I forgot about that when we were talking about mashed potatoes. Back home in the Midwest, we would do that, have the leftover mashed potatoes, and you had a steak that you could finish the next day, and you'd take those mashed potatoes and just fry, get that nice crust. But to your point on a steak fry, had that hard, crusty texture on the outside, but of course, mashed potatoes on the inside, so pillowy soft. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's just a nice contrast, when you're eating that. Okay, let's go ahead.
Well, okay, so I know it's not necessarily. Well, do you have any other sides that you wanted to mention?
Man,
I mean,
I don't. I'm trying to think as we're talking if we're missing anything. I'm sure people are hearing this going, we're probably missing one that's probably very popular, but I don't know what it would be.
I bet there's an obvious one that we're missing here. I think I've hit the highlights of the stuff that I like.
Yeah, I did too. I can't think of anything else. The only other thing I would say is we might touch on something you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, which would be, what would be your favorite, let's go steak to seafood surf and turf pairing?
I'm definitely going to get, ooh, man, that's
so you can say with ribeye, I want this. You don't have to just pick one. But if you have a ribeye, what's your pairing? If you have a filet, what's your pairing? If you had a New York strip, what's your pairing?
I think I'm gonna have if I have the New York strip, I want more of like a I don't know. I'd probably do a mushroom wine type topping to it.
No. I'm talking surf and turf.
Oh, surf and turf. I'd probably go like I'd probably go like a crab imperial or something like that. Some kind of crabby cream type sauce on the top of it.
See, I was going crab cake with my New York strip.
Okay,
crab cake.
So I'm thinking crab cake more with filet,
and I'm thinking lobster tail.
Ooh, lobster
with my filet.
That's pretty good.
And then with my ribeye, I go, just give me my, my 4 big old prawns, nicely grilled and seasoned.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, honestly, it's hard to go wrong with any of these things.
No, there's not a wrong answer, but I think mixing seafood with a steak dinner is a good way to do it.
Oh man, I absolutely love seafood and steak. I absolutely love it.
I do too.
There's a reason it's a thing. And it doesn't seem like it should be a thing because you think of seafood and you're thinking of like, it's lighter, all this kind of stuff. It just goes, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I wanted to mention, if you're cooking at home, I'm just going to give you a suggestion, my approach to cooking steak at home. I, years ago, got tired of everybody getting a filet or everybody getting a ribeye. We're doing a steak dinner. So I started doing what I call the tour de beef. And so when the family has steak or we have friends over, I like to buy, cuts of the New York strip, the ribeye, filet, maybe a picanha, a tri-tip, and have 4 or 5 different cuts that when you cook them, you slice it all up on a board and everybody can come through and get 1 or 2 pieces of this, 1 or 2. And I just think it makes the experience of eating a steak dinner, it's almost like, a Brazilian steakhouse at home, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. But I'd say another thing that like something me and my wife do a lot, because I prefer a thick cut steak.
That you'd be a fool not to.
Yeah, and I mean it sounds like a dumb statement to make, but the reason I'm mentioning it is you get a thick cut steak, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's the weekend, but maybe it's a weeknight. You're like, I want to cook a steak or whatever. Well, I'm not going to eat a 16-ounce New York strip all by myself,
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll just cook the steak as is, and then we just slice it and just kind of have at it.
Sandra and I do the same thing. If it's just her and I just cook one steak and we finish it up. I agree with you.
I mean, absolutely. If I ate a 16-ounce steak every night, I'd be like, I'd probably be in the hospital with some kind of cardiac problem or something,
Clogged up.
But that's kind of it's so, there's certain things that you can do. Actually, I really, if I'm going to eat ribeye, I prefer it sliced.
I agree.
I actually don't like just getting the whole ribeye and do it. Like, just give me like just a bunch of cross sections of it.
Favorite cut of steak? Not quality, just cut.
It's so hard to say.
Mine's easy, fillet. I like a fillet. I like it. It's lean. You can cook it. It's forgiving depending on the method you want to use. The toppings that can go on it, to me, are really, really good. To me, the ratio of fat to meat on a ribeye is just frustrates me. I get too much fat, and you want the fat for the flavor, but then you don't want to eat all that fat. It doesn't render down like it might in some other quality cuts of meat. A New York strip, just, it's a girl steak, in my opinion. It gets what girls order.
That was going to be my selection, but that's okay.
But go ahead, Matt.
No, actually, I really like a New York strip, but like, here's the thing I like about the New York strip. Here's the requirement New York strip. I got to have prime or Wagyu on it because it needs more marbling to it.
Can I tell you what the man version of the New York strip is?
The porterhouse?
No, the Denver.
Oh, the Denver's good. I like that.
The Denver cut is very, very good.
Another one, this is just straight up opulence here. But like I don't know if you've ever had this, the ribeye cap.
Oh yeah. Well, anytime you get the ribeye, cutting that little cap out is where that's the succulent part of the meat. Absolutely.
So you can take I mean, to me, it's so wasteful, but like you can take like a whole ribeye, like a big chunk of prime rib, and cut the cap off, and then you make like little, kind of roulade type things that you like spin together to make an actual steak out of it.
And you use the rest for a badass chili.
I guess so, but I've had that at a restaurant. I've never had the balls to do it myself, to be honest. But I've had it at a restaurant. I'm like, this is absurd how good it is.
I would say this about steak cuts as well. I'm not a huge fan. I did it once. I've only done it once. I don't know that I would do it again. I don't see what the hype has been. I'm not sure if it's still around. You can tell me when I mention this.
I know what you're going to say.
The tomahawk.
It's not my favorite.
Not mine either. I think you're paying for so much bone, and it's just, it's a good ribeye, but I think it's a dude's night. If you and your buddy are hanging out because your two wives are going to a movie or something, you want to cook a big 3.5-4 pound tomahawk, go to town, have a good time. But it's not something that I would just put on my list of, it needs to be in the steak rotation or it needs to be on the board for the tour de beef. It's just not one I think about very often.
Man, me either. I feel like it's kind of a bitch to cook too.
Yeah, if you don't have a big old cast iron or, and to me, you cook it on a sheet pan reverse sear is probably the way to do that. I actually put mine in a bag and sous vide it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you can.
I think I've got one that I need to cook, and it's sitting in my freezer. It's actually a Wagyu, so it should be pretty good.
And it was good. I liked it, but to me, I just don't get all the the hype about it, because here in Texas, we see them, and they advertise, tomahawks are in, and, like it's some big thing. I think that may have been more, 6 months, a year ago or something like that. I don't know that I've seen those so much lately, but
they look cool presentation wise.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. But, other than that, it's like, there are better things to eat.
Yeah. I have one more steak tip or suggestion, recommendation that I would give. If you've never had quality Wagyu, even up to A5, you need to treat yourself at least one time. And if you don't want to do it at a steakhouse, I don't disagree with you. Go to a quality butcher, get A5 Wagyu, and come home and cook that bad boy. Now, you might spend $99 a pound, but if you got, let's just say a 1.5 pound steak at $75, what is it going to be? $150. You're not going to be able to go out for a nice steak dinner with a bottle of wine and the sides and all that stuff at a restaurant for $150, because that $150, you're all in. After that, it's sides. Potatoes don't cost anything. Broccoli and all that doesn't cost anything. So right. You're getting a badass meal. And if you open a decent bottle of wine, again, you're going to pay 2.5 to 3 times that at a restaurant. So my recommendation would be eat Wagyu at least one time. And if you have it once, you'll probably have it again. But do it at home is where you get your bang for your buck.
Yeah, and I'd say a good spin on Wagyu is some of the lesser cuts. Talking about like tri-tip, picanha.
You know what? Even a top sirloin.
A top sirloin.
You get a Wagyu top sirloin, you cook it, it just melts in your mouth.
It's it definitely enhances those cuts of meat.
But wouldn't you agree? If you haven't had it, you need to splurge and do that.
Absolutely, dude. Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
It's a treat. It's delicious.
I think that it's kind of like, for instance, like I've had Wagyu fillets. They're good. I mean, fillets is tender anyway, so it's kind of like that's maybe a bit of a waste.
Yeah.
But like for instance, a New York strip or even a ribeye or whatever. I mean, dude, yes, it's so good. It's so good. And there's a reason people in Texas. I mean, we're in Texas here. There's a reason people, the competition briskets, man, they're going for the freaking Wagyu brisket.
Oh, hell yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's going to be the moistest thing that you can get.
That's right. Well, let's close this out with you and I giving the bottle of wine you're going to drink with your steak dinner.
Ooh.
Not specific to producer, but just, region and varietal or something like that. It can be somewhat vague. It doesn't have to be a producer. You want me to go first?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with a Northern Rhone Syrah from France. A nice Côte Rôtie.
Excellent choice. I think that, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go more classic. Just because I don't know. I just when I think steak, I think Bordeaux.
Okay.
That's just what I think, and I would love to have a Syrah from Northern Rhone. Hell, man, you could go Malbec. That would work really well. You could go. I mean, there's a lot of different.
Châteauneuf-du-Pape and Southern Rhone.
Yeah, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. That would be great.
A Napa Cab.
Big Napa Cab, fantastic. There's lots of different options here. I mean, you're the world can. I mean, you've got a limitless options. I particularly like Bordeaux, and actually, I'm actually kind of probably not a popular choice, but I actually like Right Bank Merlot based Bordeaux's a little bit better. Just in general, maybe it doesn't punch through the steak as much. I don't really care. I just like it better.
There you go. Hey, it's your palate. Nobody can tell you you're wrong.
Yeah. I'm just a simple boy from Alabama living a dream.
That's exactly right.
So,
All right. Well, I think as we wrap this up, you and I will probably be getting together this weekend and cooking a steak dinner.
yeah, that sounds really damn good.
Maybe we'll open up a 1961 Bordeaux on the right page.
Woo! We're gonna do that at some point in time. We'll see if it's still good.
Carter, fun as always, my man.
Oh yeah, man, that was cool. Great subject matter.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.
Or steak outside.
Or steak.
Oh.